Hello, welcome to Movie Summaries. Today we are summarizing a 1990 classic Kevin Bacon comedy and horror movie called Tremors. Fair warning, there are spoilers in this summary. Enjoy, and be sure to subscribe to watch more videos weekly, and hit like. The movie is set in a small isolated American town called Perfection. It is surrounded by mountains and cliffs on three sides, and connected to the rest of the country by one narrow country road. It was established in 1902, and inhabited by, wait for it, a whopping 14 people. Valentine, McKee and Earl Bassett are among the few people who live in the town. They are basically lazy men who do odd jobs to survive. You name any shitty odd job, they do it. As expected, they are poor and don't have much to their name, except a rundown truck. Earl is more mature, older, and likes to plan things ahead, while Val is more spontaneous in nature and likes to live in the moment. Whenever the two men reach an impasse, they resolve it like grown adult men by playing rock, paper, scissors. On the way to their next gig, they notice an unfamiliar person with lots of equipment on the side of the road. It's a female student from a nearby university working on her project. A hot-blooded Val gets excited after seeing the girl and rashly drives towards her. Val has a very peculiar taste in women. He likes a girl with long blonde hair, big green eyes, world-class breasts, ass that won't quit, and legs that go all the way up. However, when the duo reach the girl, Val's very reasonable expectations aren't met. The girl introduces herself as Rhonda Lebec, a seismology student. She inquires Val and Earl about drilling and blasting activities around the town. As her seismograph has been picking up strange readings, Rhonda's school has had the machines for a long time, but they have never read anything like it before. Earl denies having knowledge about any such activities and promises to ask around the town for her. On their way back to the town, Earl suggests checking the seismograph for Rhonda as an excuse to get to know her more, but Val turns him down. Earl berates his pal for having such unattainable standards. He mocks Val's crush, Tammy Lynn Baxter, but Val stands his ground. Before heading to their job site, the duo stop for a beer break at Walter Chang's market. At the shop, they meet Bert Gummer and his wife, Heather. The Hummers are survivalists who moved to Perfection for geographical isolation. Oh, they are going to regret it. Unaware of the looming underground danger, Rhonda sets up her equipment, but before the unidentified movement in the ground could catch up to her, Rhonda gets in her car and leaves. Val and Earl finish disposing of the garbage and stop for a drink. Val first takes pride in their ability of taking care of the garbage, like no other, but then laments on being forced to do such menial jobs. He comments they have to set their sights a little higher. They do just that and go to a teenager named Melvin's house for their sewage removal gig. Melvin is a spoiled brat that likes to talk trash and play pranks on people. Seeing Melvin sitting idly, Earl warns him that not being serious about life and not having a laid out plan is why they're forced to do a job like that. As Val and Earl blame each other for holding each other back in Perfection, the sewage pipe bursts open and they get showered in nasty sewage as punk Melvin laughs. Finally fed up, Earl and Val pack their stuff and leave Perfection for good. As the two proceed to leave for Bixby, the nearest city, they're stopped by Nancy, who runs a pottery business and lives with her daughter Mindy. Nancy offers the two guys a month-long gig with free lunch and beer, but they decline the offer. On their way out of the town, the men notice a man on a transmission tower. On closer inspection, Val identifies the man as the town's drunkard, Edgar Deems. Seeing Edgar immobile and unresponsive, they decide to get him down. Val climbs up the tower, and to his dismay, he learns that Edgar is dead and has a rifle in his hands. The duo then take Edgar's body to the area's only doctor, Jim. The doctor reveals that Edgar must have stayed on the tower for 3-4 days and died of dehydration. Puzzled by the revelation, Earl and Val wonder what Edgar must have been so afraid of that he preferred dying up there of dehydration than getting down. Nevertheless, they continue on their journey, but again are forced to stop when they notice a bunch of sheep slaughtered that belonged to a local named Fred, butchered. Worried, they look around for Fred, but soon find his severed head under his fedora. Frightened, they come across two road workers and warn them that there is a killer loose cutting off people's heads. The road workers don't think too much of it, but as one of the road workers is drilling into the ground, he hits, well, something not normal, as bloody and red slimy goop starts oozing out of the ground. The drill looks like it's dragged from something under the ground, far out, and then whatever is under the ground somehow manages to twist and tangle the drill's rope around the road worker's legs and drag him to death. Back to Val and Earl, they decide to flee the town, but they find that the only road leading out of the town has been blocked by a small landslide. Presuming it was caused by the road workers, they call out for them, but only to find the worker's helmet lying full of blood and slime. They freak out and immediately proceed to return back to town. While leaving, Val backs the truck into a small ridge and gets stuck. Val uses all its power and eventually manages to set the truck loose. When they reach the town, the rest of the town dwellers learn about the strange occurrences and discover a long, snake-like creature wrapped around Val's truck's axle. Bert speculates that only one such creature couldn't have devoured Fred's whole flock of sheep, and there must be more than one of these creatures around the area. Oh god. At night, Jim and his wife Megan decide to retire for the night. After working non-stop to build their house, they suddenly notice this steam vent coming out of the ground. Megan is spooked, but Jim speculates that they may have discovered natural gas, and insists on investigating. Out of nowhere, the ground beneath Jim gives way, and he is pulled down into the ground as he screams in pain. Megan frantically tries to help him, but he is soon enveloped. Megan desperately tries to dig him out, but a snake-like creature emerges and angrily hisses at her. Megan runs back to her car and locks herself in, but before she could drive away, the car starts to sink. Back at the town, where the telephone service is out and the road blocked, Val and Earl decide to set out on Walter's horses to bring help from Bixby. On their way to the city, they pass through Jim's trailer. They look around for the doctor and his wife. Suddenly, they hear a sound of a radio coming from beneath the ground. Upon inspection, they learn that Jim's car had been buried vertically into the ground. Time to get out of there. The two continue on their journey, but are again forced to stop when their horses start acting up and throw them off. Suddenly, the creature appears from underground and starts to devour the horses. Pissed and frightened, Val shoots at the creature, but it then emerges from right under their feet and starts chasing them. The creature moves as fast under the ground as a crocodile moves underwater. The duo run towards the Rocky Mountains and try to jump across a concrete ditch, but end up falling into it as the creature slams into the wall of the concrete ditch, killing itself. The boys are proud. As they breathe a sigh of relief, Rhonda shows up. She inspects the creature and speculates that the creature must be subterranean, as it doesn't have eyes. The creature is several meters long and projects tentacles out of its mouth. It has black fins that help it move underground. Gross. One can only see a trail of dust flying as the creature moves underground. As Val and Earl make plans about selling the unique creature's corpse, Rhonda, all of a sudden, takes a worrying look at her seismograph. She reveals that her seismograph shows that there are 3 more of such creatures. They suddenly feel the vibrations of the creature approaching them. The trio quickly runs towards the rocks and takes shelter above a huge rock that the creature can't climb. They wait for the monster to leave, but every time they set foot on the ground, the creature appears. Frustrated, Val wonders if the creature is listening to their conversation. Rhonda speculates that the creature senses seismic vibration and hears every move they make on the rock, as it is the perfect conductor. Left with no choice, the trio is forced to spend their night on the rock. Being the gentleman he is, Val gives Rhonda his jacket and his shoulder to sleep on, as Earl takes notes of his pal's changing demeanor. With the creature still waiting for them, Rhonda comes up with an idea, and the group pole vault their way to Rhonda's truck. Smart moves, Rhonda. As soon as they reach the truck, the creature starts attacking them, but Rhonda quickly starts the truck, and they flee to Perfection. Back at Walter's store, the town dwellers conclude that they must abandon Perfection. As the creature is progressively moving towards their town, Rhonda suggests that they must hike to Bixby through the mountains in the west. Those mountains are made of granite, and the creatures can only move through loose soil that covers the valley. Suddenly, they hear Melvin scream from outside. Upon inspection, they find him shit scared on a light pole. The town residents assume that Melvin is playing another prank. This boy cried wolf too many times. However, the creature who Walter has named Graboid appears from beneath. The town dwellers quickly take shelter indoors. Despite making no noise or vibration, Graboid hovers beneath the store, where Rhonda and the others have taken shelter. When they listen closely for vibration that might have attracted the creature, they hear little Mindy hopping around on her pogo stick with headphones on. Val runs towards Mindy and grabs her before the Graboid devours her pogo stick. Nancy then grabs her daughter Mindy and runs toward their home as the creature starts chasing Val to his truck. Another creature then starts moving towards Earl and Rhonda, and they get separated. Earl runs back towards the store, while Rhonda rushes towards Melvin. However, Rhonda falls down and gets tangled in barbed wire. Seeing a damsel in distress, Val quickly grabs a pickaxe and runs towards Rhonda. He wounds the creature with the pickaxe and tries to free the girl. Unable to detangle the wire, he asks her to take her pants off, and the two then run for Walter's store as both the creatures start chasing them. They safely get inside the store, and Val nurses Rhonda's wound. Seeing Val care so much for her, Earl teases his buddy. Suddenly, Walter's fridge starts malfunctioning, attracting the creature. The Graboid emerges from beneath the cheap wooden floor and manages to grab Walter as he and the other men are trying to turn off the appliance. The other Graboid also makes an appearance and forces the town dwellers to take shelter on the roof. Bert and Heather notice them on the roof from a distance and contact them through radio. As Bert talks to Val on the radio, Heather starts processing spent ammunition, and the vibration attracts the Graboids. The creatures quickly reach the couple's home and emerge through the wall. They spray the monsters with bullets, rifles, automatic machine guns, pistols, you name it. They unload it on the creature. Bert then finally kills the monster monster with an antique elephant gun. One more down, 2 more to go. The town dwellers celebrate Bert and Heather's heroism, but their happiness is short-lived as the monsters get creative and start destroying the building's foundations, and a man named Nestor gets devoured. Seeing the graboid get closer by the minute, Earl suggests they use a bulldozer to escape, speculating that the creature won't be able to lift a 30-tons vehicle. Left with no other choice, they go with the plan. Using a small tractor as a decoy, Val jumps from the roof and runs toward the bulldozer. However, after creating a distraction for a while, the tractor tips over before Val gets to reach the bulldozer. With the graboid now fast approaching Val, Rhonda instructs him to stand still. Val is close to the monster, so Rhonda creates another distraction by bursting open a pipe. The graboids take the bait, and Val safely gets onto the bulldozer. He attaches an old semi-trailer to it. After rescuing all the town's residents, including Heather and Bert, who bring weapons and ammunition, they head for the mountains. As they reach closer and closer to the mountains, the residents begin celebrating. However, they soon realize that the creatures outsmarted them and led them into a trap. When the bulldozer falls into a hole the monsters dug, adamant on surviving, Rhonda suggests that they use Bert's handmade bombs to create loud explosions to scare the creatures away for a while, and run towards the nearby rocks. She speculates that extremely loud noises might hurt the sound-sensitive graboids. With no better plan, everyone agrees, and Bert throws a bomb in the direction of the rocks. The plan works, and the group runs for the rocks. They make it, but soon realize that they might get stuck on the rock forever. Very predictably, like any human put in a dangerous situation, the group quickly turns on each other. After learning that the creature can wait hours under the rocks, an agitated Bert accuses Val and Earl of screwing them up and hauling them away from the food and water. Baffled at Bert's ungratefulness, Val claps back, but Earl and Heather intervene before the fight escalates. After spending some hours on the rock, everyone cools off, and Earl comes up with an idea. He proposes that they lure the creature into rope that's tied to a bomb from the ground. Worth the try. Earl then ties a lit bomb on a rope and tricks the graboid into devouring it. The graboid is blown into pieces. One down, and 1 more to go. The group then sets another trap for the last remaining creature, and Val throws another lit dynamite to lure the creature. The graboid again takes the bait and devours the bomb. However, this time, the monster then hurls the bomb back towards Val and the others. Val, Earl, and Rhonda run away from the rock as the bomb lands on Bert's ammunition bag and destroys it. After the explosion, the trio run towards the rocks, but they are stopped by the graboid. The trio stands still to fool the creature, and the others create noise distractions. The monster again retreats into the ground. Earl proceeds to move, but Val stops him. He warns that the creature has caught up to their ruse and is waiting right underneath the surface for them to move. Earl then advises Val to use the bomb he has in his hand, but Val hesitates, as it is the last one they have. Val retorts that even if they make it to the rocks, they will be dead in 3 days. Earl responds that he wants to live for the 3 days, and the residents pressure Val to use the bomb. Still not sold, Val comes up with a plan and runs up the valley. Earl and Rhonda follow suit. The monster chases them. As Val exclaims he finally has a plan, the trio reach the end of the cliff, and Val asks Rhonda to light the bomb. Val then throws the bomb at the fast-approaching graboid, but it lands and explodes too far behind. Earl and Rhonda get out of the way, but Val waits for the creature to reach the end of the cliff before jumping aside. Frightened by the dynamite explosion, the sound-sensitive graboid is unable to stop itself and flies off the cliff onto the ground. The last remaining monster has finally been defeated, and the residents rejoice. Val and Earl fix their truck and prepare for their journey to Brixby. They plan to make some real money by selling their story to the National Geographic. Before departing, Rhonda thanks Val for saving her life. She drops hint after hint to express her interest in dating him, but he just can't bring himself to ask her out. She finally gives in and leaves, but Earl coaxes Val into going after the girl. Finally manning up, Val walks up to Rhonda and kisses her. Hope you enjoyed our summary. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos weekly. Thanks.